All right, welcome back everyone for another Wednesday live stream. Today I'm going to work on the factory generator, and if you've watched a couple of the previous live streams, you'll know that I kind of started that real-time factory generator off of a PR from Laravel. It got closed, not something that they wanted to put into core. And I looked at that actually over the last few weeks a little bit, and I realized that it has some challenges. It was meant to replace this. It's kind of why I didn't update this when Laravel 11 came out. But I'm returning to it now because this is just the way to go, and I'll talk about that as we get into the code a little bit more. But yeah, I think reviving this, it gets some use. I use it for the test generator underneath to generate the factories for that particular shift. But it can be used standalone as well. It doesn't have to be used with shift. So let me kind of talk about, again, kind of why that other one doesn't work and why probably generating your own factories is best. Let me clarify that. It's not that it doesn't work. It's very challenging to get right, and at the end of the day, it probably makes more sense for you to generate your own factory for you to tweak, giving your various data points. Guessing this stuff is possible, but basically what I was finding was that based on the different database drivers, SQLite versus MySQL, for example, based on the different column names or the way you name things, it's kind of like this constant battle to really tweak that to a place where it's probably usable by enough people. And again, what probably makes much more sense is just generating a factory with a package like this, and then allowing the user to tweak those fields. So kind of quickly giving them a factory up and running, and then again to go into the definition and kind of tweak that. Now, some of the challenges that those packages face, or that package faces, the same packages or same challenge that these packages face. What has to happen is you basically have to parse this model kind of real time to figure out the columns and all of the information. And that's changed pretty dramatically from in the past. So in the past, that was kind of all set up, through doctrine. But starting with like Laravel 10, mid Laravel 10, I think 1038 to be specific, Laravel moved away from its dependency on doctrine and started kind of sniffing all that stuff out internally. And again, that's why I did not go and update this package, because it kind of needs to be completely rewritten in how it looks for your models and relationships. And then I remembered something. I remembered that also introduced in, I think actually Laravel 9, there is this, PHP artisan model show user. There's this model show command. I think Jess Archer worked on this, and knowing Jess Archer and Jess Archer knowing me, she provided this awesome JSON option, which some of the artisan commands have to give you this programmatically readable, programmatically usable bit of information. So let me take this information and just kind of show you. Let's just kind of get into like JSON lint or something real quick, and we'll just paste this in here for kind of brevity or at least readability. So here's what we have. If we look at this, we get the class of the model, of course. We see that, again, the database is SQLite, and as we start kind of going through it, all these ads, terrible. As we start going through it, we see here that, ID is an integer, increments is true, nullables false, defaults null. We get all of the information that we would actually sniff out otherwise, or at least 99% of it. There's a couple small things in here that we don't get, which we'll see here in a minute. But before I kind of leave this crappy ad-ridden site, let me mention the issue here. The challenge with anything, whether it's Laravel's model show or writing this yourself, is these types, right? Now, in SQLite, as we see here, the name is varchar. That's it. It's just a varchar, basically because everything in SQLite is either like an integer or a string. It's just kind of their limited data types. if we were to run this against the MySQL driver or one of the other drivers, what we would probably end up seeing here is varchar 255. We would get some additional information about that thing's type, meaning in this case its length. Same with some of these other fields, verified at, these things wouldn't necessarily be varchar. Again, password might be whatever, remember tokens only 40, for example. So that's kind of the challenge of these packages, is that this information that we get varies between the driver. And I kind of have to figure all that out inside of this package, which is honestly, it's really just a waste of time to do that, because Laravel gives this to you. So let's just take this off. So what I thought was, again, I kind of had this Eureka moment over the weekend, and I realized that we can just use what Laravel gives us, because it's going to give us some pretty nice information. In fact, it's even going to give us the relationships that this has, as well as the attributes, and even its cast type in here. So we could actually go so far as to know that this thing is cast a certain data type, that if we didn't know, we could fall back now on using that information to guess or to create faker data. So while this might be missing one or two very, very tiny pieces, it gives us actually a lot more. So it's also future-proof, because I'm using Laravel. I know that Laravel, as Laravel 12, 13, whatever comes out, model show is going to continue to provide these attributes, this output. I don't have to constantly update this package. So I think this is the way to go. So what I want to do in this live stream is kind of update this factory generator to, instead of kind of using all these other packages to figure this stuff out, I kind of started messing around real quick pre-stream to basically call model show on that particular model class with the JSON option, and to see if we can get that decoded array back. And if we can, then I basically need to update this collection pipeline to get the appropriate data that it needs to kind of have the rest of the factory generator work. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to solve all that in the next 20 minutes or so, but let's just see how far we get, right? A lot of build up there. Thanks for sticking with me. But hopefully it helps to kind of see it. Okay, I've already, if we do cat composer JSON, we'll see here that I've already symlinked this factory generator just as kind of a local repository. So whatever changes I make here in PHP Storm, they should show up as I run the factory generator. So if we do PHP Artisan, we should see factory generate in here, I think. Yeah, generate factory. So we should be able to say generate factory and user, and there we go. Class name must be a valid object or string, so generate command, generate app models user, generate command 40. All right, let's just start debugging this, because again, I kind of started ripping all sorts of stuff apart here. So generate command, line 40. What does it not like? So it gets down in here to model, it calls generate, app model generate, class name must be a valid object or string, generate command line, oh sorry, I'm reading this wrong. It's actually here, model class. Okay, it is passing that down, so let's go down to generate, which is here, generate, okay, it takes a model, exists, we get the factory path, and here it doesn't like this for some reason. Why doesn't it like you? What is, let's just dd model class and make sure we're getting what we get. True. That's strange. Model class. Oh, why is that called model class? It should just be called model. Model exists. What does this do? If class exists, qualify class, return model class. This returns a bool. That's the problem. It doesn't really return a bool. It returns a bool or a string. Well, that's all sorts of ugly. Let's get rid of this. That should really have a better return type. I think part of the problem is when I was in here refactoring this, I ended up I ended up adding types, and that's clearly not what that thing actually returns. See, never trust a comment. Okay, so now we're a little bit farther, and it simply says failed to create factory for model app models user. Okay, that's fine. So we didn't get down to this DD, so something's happening here. Failed to create, my guess is higher up. Yeah, if factory. So we're returning null a little bit early. So let's keep going down here. My guess is, let's just var dump, or well, let's DD here. Oh, the factory exists. I bet you this exists. That's the problem. This is a brand new Laravel application. So database, factories, user, yeah, it already exists. Let's rm that and try again. Failed to create it. Okay, still a problem. So let's see where we're dying here. DD, whoops. DD, oh, I'm here in the chat, so maybe somebody knows something I don't. Here, boop. Okay, we're not getting there, so it's not that. Oh my God, go away. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Line 35, use triple equal instead of, I think that might be old. Anyway, let's keep going here. So model class, if model exists, so maybe it's claiming that the model does not exist. Model does not exist. All right, let's try this again. It's not that. So where are we crapping out here? We get here if factory generate returns null. If we go down to generate, we're not bailing here, so model class exists, so we should be able to say dd model class and see something. We do. Okay, so we're at least getting this far. It's not here. Now we can say artisan failed, the old school ray. Look at this. Okay, so it's not that. Where is it returning null from? Factory exists. This is strange. Does this throw an error? Do we catch errors? No, we don't even catch errors. So if there was an error thrown, which I know there are some in here, what is the problem? We might take the whole stream just to figure this part out. All right. Let's go back. We were getting that very first DD, so let's go back to generate. And let's get back to where we were. So model class. So we're getting this far. Line 58. Great. Let's see if we get below factory path. Yes. Okay. Let's see if we get below this. Yes. Okay. That's not the issue. So the issue must be this then. That's the only thing we kind of haven't done yet. So we can say JSON last error message. Syntax error. Okay. Let's dd artisan output. Okay, it seems like the JSON flag. Oh, I don't think you pass it that way. I think you say JSON true here. JSON argument doesn't exist. Model show PHP artisan model show -- help. It's not an argument, it's an option. How do we pass options to artisan call? Oh, PHP Storm, I hate you. All right, call parameters. Call parameters. How do you pass an option? Maybe you have to say the -- but it has to be. Oops. There we go. There it is. Okay, cool. So when you want to pass an option, you have to still use the associative array syntax. Okay, we're getting a bit farther now. Let's get out of here. Get out of here. theoretically we should be able to parse the JSON now, which we are. Great. Okay, so a couple minutes there to get to where we wanted to go, but basically the output was incorrect because we weren't correctly passing that option down to artisan call. Okay, so we're calling the code, or we're calling model show with the model class. Great, that should be the whole model class name as we saw. If so long as it didn't throw a non-successful code, then we're going to keep going on. Again, we're going to try to parse this into an array. And now we want to loop through the attributes. We want to loop through these attributes to kind of get what we want to get. So what I would want to pass here is JSON attributes, all right? And what I would want to pass to relationships are relations. So we'll say JSON relations. Whoops, relations. All right, and for now, is there a DD? Yeah, there's a DD. All right, this should explode. Undefined array key attributes. Okay, cool. So we need to clean up columns now to take an array of attributes. And here is where we're actually going to do some things, right? So we're going to take these attributes and we're going to map the actual column. Okay, cool. So down here, we should get, if we DD here, we should get the first column. So we're going to have to kind of deconstruct this. Great. Okay, so we have name, we have type, we have increments, we have some properties here that we can loop through to do all the old stuff we used to do with the factory to kind of see if it still should be used. Okay, so let's go down the line. Key column names, totally fine. We have name, so name's ID in this case, should be included. So we're doing a test here to say if it's nullable, this include nullable columns, and columns not auto increment, and it's not the primary key. Okay, so this is called increments, so we'll change that to increments. Nullable exists, and that's a property, so that's no big deal. We don't have primary here. I think that's the one field that we were missing. What I'm going to do for now is, just in the interest of keeping things going in this stream, let's just say check for primary key, or remove, because you wouldn't want to set your primary key in your factories. That's just not a legit thing. Oh, you know what? We have the model instance. Hold on a second. Can we take the model instance and say get key name? Get key name. Yes, we can. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so actually, forget that to do. We can do this. So we can say and column name is not equal to this model instance get key. What's the difference between get key and get key name? I don't know. All right, let's run that. Okay, a little bit farther. Undefined key foreign. Okay, great. We haven't really finished going through this yet. Okay, if it uses timestamps. All right, so if it doesn't use timestamps, then just return. We don't need to check for anything else. Otherwise, we're going to see the names of the created ad and updated ad, and we're also going to determine if it uses a soft delete. If it does, we're going to add that to timestamps, and then we ultimately return if it should be included, which we've checked for before, and then if it's not in the array of the timestamps. Okay, good. That method's pretty good. Let's go back to where we were and kind of keep going down the line. So map to factory, I don't think we need to mess with that, maybe. If column is foreign, okay, how would we know if column's foreign? Foreign. Why do I care? kind of curious why would I care if it's a foreign key? Does relations just have a name? Notifications, yeah. It doesn't actually give us kind of the... You don't want to map all foreign keys, because think of like a morphable model or a morphable relationship. You're going to have like the underscore type and the underscore ID and all that kind of stuff baked in, and we don't want to create faker data for that. There's nothing here though that allows me to immediately see that. So this is kind of where you have to go back and you have to figure out like the foreign keys. Yeah, okay. So if column is foreign, map to factory, build relation function. Otherwise, if it's password, we kind of strictly do a hash make. If the column's unique, then we use faker unique. So really the only hang up is kind of this, I think. We don't have foreign. I'm trying to think of a quick way we could kind of like hack that. Let's go back up here and look. Does this have a foreign? I don't think this has any foreign keys anyway, so that's not going to be that easy to do for this particular model. Let me comment this out for now. Let's just see where we get. Okay, undefined array key length. All right, so length. Oops, length. Where are we using this? Okay, we have type. We wouldn't have length in map to faker. This is where things get a little interesting. I think this is maybe, again, that last data point that I don't have. Here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to do. I don't have MySQL running. I think this is good progress. We got the artisan command working. What I want to determine though next, and we knew this was going to be a problem based on the different drivers, but I want to determine what this actually looks like on a different database, particularly one that's going to give me length information, because SQLite's not going to do that based on kind of the way it has its data types. So what I want to do is maybe jump out to another site and see real quick what model show returns on a MySQL database. Because if it returns varchar parentheses 255, which I think it will, then length can be parsed out of type, and I just have to kind of like clean up type. And maybe what needs to happen is I kind of have to pre-scrub these attribute fields to remove things like foreign and build out a length property. And again, that's not the end of the world. It would make kind of the rest of this stuff work. But I think we need to figure that out real quick. So let me go out to web, and we'll go to Laravel shift, and we'll do PHP artisan model show on user, right? Why not? Inspecting, oh no, of course I don't have that in production. Where else might I have? I'm trying to think of where else I have an app. Oh, I could use the new side project, I think. cd var www wppmio. Can we do the same thing? Hey, yeah. Hey, there you go. Boom, password 255. Remember token, string 100. Okay, so exactly like we thought. This all comes out in the wash depending on your driver. So, oops, we're not DDing that anymore. So I think what needs to happen is, let's go back up top and let me just DD this so we can kind of see what's going on and talk it through real quick. And then I'll probably just end the stream there, because I think we're kind of like making some progress here finally. And I should be able to just go off stream and kind of get the rest of this moving. Okay, so what needs to happen? Let's stick with remember token based on what we just saw. What needs to happen is I probably need to pre-map this data, kind of massage this stuff that comes back from show to do two things. One, to break out a length or an attributes column or element in this array, and then put that into, again, length or attributes and update the code accordingly. And then 2, probably ask the database connection, the schema, about a foreign key or not. Again, we can pull that out pretty simply. So what needs to happen is, just to kind of turn that into a little bit of code, I think right here we need to determine foreign keys based on table schema. We can get that from Laravel. It's just some calls based on this model instance to get its database connection and then its schema manager and all that kind of stuff. And then we can just say foreign columns. So that'll give us a list of that. And then down here, when we call columns, I think what needs to happen is we kind of need to like pre-map this data in columns here. So probably what needs to happen is, before map with keys, we need to do some kind of map where, we say column append, this, append, additional elements or something. This is a terrible name, but you get the idea. And this is where we would maybe pass some of that information down. And we probably need to pass like, foreign keys here or something like that, an array containing all the foreign key names. So that would go in there. We would kind of scrub this, and everything else should just play on now, because by the time it gets down in that code, it's going to have the foreign element and it's going to have that length element that we commented out. So, and maybe we go ahead and add that cast element too. That's something that maybe this code could be updated to do. So again, it kind of has that already, but maybe we can use that when we're guessing its type as well. So anyway, I think that's probably it for today. I think we see kind of the path through now. I feel like using model show is definitely the way to go, because it kind of future-proofs the code and it leverages Laravel. So as they patch any kind of bugs around, drivers or data types or whatever, this app just gets it for free. I don't have to go parse and understand that code and then put it into this package as well. So I think that's pretty nice. So I'm going to keep hacking on this to break out these additional columns, but I think I'll probably do that off stream just to kind of keep these under 30 minutes. So thanks everyone for joining live, and I'll see you next week.